All right, let's dive right into this explainer and break down exactly how the San Antonio Spurs just pulled off a massive upset to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. If you've been following the league at all, you know this honestly wasn't supposed to happen this soon for such a young team. But as we're going to see, their journey is just this incredibly compelling story of resilience, strategy, and a real changing of the guard. And to put this moment into perspective, we are living through a completely unprecedented streak in the NBA right now. 8 consecutive years with 8 different champions. With a new king being crowned for the 8th straight year, we are officially witnessing the longest streak of seasons with a different champion in NBA history. The era of the unstoppable dynasty? Yeah, that's totally on pause. Absolute parity has taken over the league.
Chapter 1. The Reigning Champs Fall.
The contrast here is just staggering. On one hand, you have the Thunder starting the season on an absolutely ridiculous 24-1 tear. They looked completely invincible, sweeping their first 2 playoff opponents, the Suns and the Lakers, right off the floor. But then, reality hits hard. They get ousted 111-103 in a genuinely brutal Game 7, and that's even with a massive 35-point effort from their 2-time MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So you might be wondering, how exactly did the heavy favorites collapse? Well, it really came down to serious roster attrition and just a total lack of late-game execution. They went into Game 7 down 2 massive offensive creators with injuries to Jalen Williams and Ajay Mitchell. Because of that gap, they fell in a 14-point hole early in the first quarter. And then in crunch time, they literally had 0 timeouts left while trailing by 11 with 4 minutes on the clock. Their margin for error was completely gone. But, even after such a heartbreaking defeat, Gilgeous-Alexander was pure class. He tipped his hat to the young, well-coached Spurs, saying they, quote, have the makeup to go get a championship. Honestly, when the 2-time MVP goes out of his way to validate your championship DNA, you've definitely earned some respect. Which brings us to Chapter 2, Wembanyama's rapid rise. Just look at these jaw-dropping numbers from the 7'4" Titan. 27.3 points, almost 11 boards, and 2.7 blocks a game, all while shooting a super efficient 48% from the field. And here's the crazy part. Game 7 was only his 18th career postseason game. It is absolutely no surprise he was unanimously named the MVP of the conference finals. His ability to just completely take over the most crucial moments of a game as a third-season phenom is breathtaking.
And the scariest part for the rest of the league, he's far from satisfied. He told NBC Sports point blank that hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy has been his childhood dream. He knows he has a tangible chance at it right now, telling everyone, "We want 4 more, we're not done. Go Spurs, go."
Let's move to Chapter 3, how San Antonio actually pulled this off. This entire series was an absolute roller coaster. The Spurs stole the opening game, but by Game 4, things were knotted up at 2 apiece. Then Game 5 happens. San Antonio falls behind 3-2. And suddenly, they are staring elimination right in the face. But instead of folding like a lot of young teams would, they rallied with just incredible resilience to rip off 2 straight wins against the title favorites. And while Wembanyama is obviously the headliner, San Antonio desperately needed their depth to close out Game 7. Right behind Wemby's 22 points, you had Julian Champagnie exploding out of nowhere for 20. Plus, De'Aaron Fox chipped in 15 crucial points, using that elite speed for huge transition buckets. Fox actually scored nearly as many points at Game 7 alone as he did in the previous 2 games combined. Talk about stepping up when it matters. A lot of pundits kept hammering on the Spurs' lack of playoff experience, but 39-year-old head coach Mitch Johnson totally shut that narrative down. He pointed out that their consistency, habits, and character built over 100-plus games more than made up for it. Johnson, who literally just had his interim tag removed before this season, instilled this quiet, unshakable confidence in the roster, and it has clearly paid off. Setting up our final chapter, a historic 1999 rematch. So this sets the stage for an absolutely epic 2026 finals clash, kicking off June 3rd. You've got the giant-killing San Antonio Spurs, led by first full-year coach Mitch Johnson, going head-to-head with coach Mike Brown and the New York Knicks. And let's be clear about New York, they are riding a historically dominant 11-game postseason win streak. That's the 5th longest in a single postseason ever, and they've been blowing teams out by an average of almost 24 points. But what makes this matchup literally give you goosebumps is the history. This is a pure, nostalgic throwback to exactly 27 years ago, the 1999 NBA Finals.
Back then, San Antonio's legendary Twin Tower duo of former #1 picks, Tim Duncan and David Robinson, won the title against these very same Knicks. It's almost poetic, right? Seeing another insanely talented #1 pick big man in a Spurs jersey facing New York nearly 3 decades later.
So the final question you should take away from this explainer today is this. Will Wembanyama realize his childhood dream and cement his legacy with a ring in just his 3rd season? Or is New York's historic, dominant run finally going to put an end to their agonizing 27-year championship drought? One thing's for sure, you absolutely will not want to miss this series.